Welcome back. I'm Brett, and we've been talking about keeping you, your cattle, and your work environment safe throughout this video series, sponsored by Elanco. Dr. Tom Portillo of Progressive Veterinary Services and Dr. Brad Williams, Elanco Beef Technical Consultant, have helped us cover a lot of information about handling cattle properly and using injectable products, and Micotil in particular, safely and effectively. In this video, we're going to talk more about Micotil and how to store it correctly. We'll also cover what to do if you or a member of your crew is exposed to Micotil. So, let's start with looking at how to store Micotil. It's a good idea with any injectable product and all related supplies, such as syringes and needles, to keep them securely away from any places where children or members of the general public could find them or be accidentally exposed to them. Only trained and responsible personnel should ever have access to Micotil or any other injectable products. But really, best practice suggests going a step further than that.
Micotil should be stored away from the general public and only allow access to authorized users. Depending on the facility and the size of inventory they have, this could be a locked drug box or a drug room. I'd also recommend using the log process so the authorized user can get drugs from that location, but they need to log when they got it and how much they got. Ultimately, all these measures help reduce the risk of human misuse.
You also need to pay attention to the environmental aspects of storing injectable products and think about where you are storing them.
When storing products, the most important thing is to refer to the label directions. Make sure that we know the most appropriate temperature where it has to be stored, and also making sure that only those responsible for administering these products have access to those products. Safety is a key issue as well, making sure that products are locked up and only taken out of the locked storerooms when they're needed for use.
Micotil should be stored at or below 86 degrees Fahrenheit and not in direct sunlight. I always store vaccines as per recommended by their manufacturer. Usually includes a cold, dark place. Other instructions with vaccines is never mix more than you're going to use in an hour. If you do, then probably discard that and mix a new vial.
Taking these steps helps maximize the effectiveness of the product. And here's another tip along those same lines. While you're using vaccines, don't try to clean or disinfect your syringes with any kind of chemical sterilants. Those not only interfere with the effectiveness of the vaccine, they can leave a residue in the syringe. The Securus syringe can be cleaned by running sterile water through it. When you're finished with the day's processing, it's important to properly dispose of used needles and bottles. Don't dispose of them in a place or in a manner that would allow people to come into contact with them. For instance, you wouldn't want to put those used needles in a garbage bag that they could poke through. Instead, dispose of needles in a hard-sided plastic container and recycle glass bottles or plastic shrouds appropriately. We talked a lot about handling needles and syringes safely in our processing video, but it's just as important to know the plan if someone is injected. You and everyone on your crew should know what to do if an emergency happens. Your veterinarian can help you determine what emergency actions are recommended for your operation. Now, let's talk specifically about what to do if an exposure to Micotil occurs. It's important that you seek medical attention immediately if somebody does experience any kind of exposure to Micotil. Exposure to Micotil has been associated with human fatalities. So the first thing, and you should do it right away, is seek medical attention.
In the event of a human Micotil exposure, always reach, reference, and remember. Reach for an ice pack and apply it to the side. Reference the label, take it with you to the physician, and remember to call the Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Center.
Like Brad said, after seeking immediate medical attention, make sure you reach for that ice pack you are keeping nearby and apply it to the site of the injection. Not directly on the skin though. Have a layer of clothing or a towel between the skin and the ice pack so the skin doesn't freeze. Also, have someone grab the Micotil product label that is nearby, specifically the area of the label that says "Note to the physician." Bring the label or the product insert to give to medical personnel to reference. You should also remember to call as soon as possible the Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Center, RMPDC, at 1-800-722-0987 or Elanco Animal Health at 1-800-428-4441 and select the option for product support. They have a wealth of expertise about these types of situations and can walk your medical responders through the specific recommendations for a Micotil exposure. The storage and exposure actions we have discussed, along with the cattle handling and administration tips presented in our other videos, are designed to keep everyone involved in the beef production process safe and ultimately create a safe food product for consumers to enjoy. These steps help ensure safety for you, safety for the animal, safety within the food chain, and environment. For reminders on the best practices discussed today, Elanco has a variety of tools available for you, including posters, product administration guidelines, and safety information sheets. Contact your Elanco sales representative or veterinarian to get copies or to discuss any of the available tools. And with that, we've come to the end of our discussion about using injectable products safely and keeping your cattle, crew, and the work environment safe. I hope these Elanco-sponsored videos have been helpful and you've been able to pick up some good tips and ideas to apply the next time you're handling or processing cattle. Thanks for joining us. So long for now.